Today I'm going to show you how to use ControlNet for Stable Diffusion to create amazing images. Let's begin. Go to your Extension tab, click on Load, search for ControlNet, install it. Head over to this Hugging Face link. Just download the models that you need. For now, I recommend these. Move them to the ControlNet folder inside Models. Restart your UI after you're done. Go to your web UI. You will see ControlNet. First thing we're gonna do is click here and find your image to upload it. Now let's look at all the options here. Click on Enable, click on Allow Preview. Let's start off with our first model, Canny. Canny detects the edges of objects in an image. By clicking on the preview icon, you can see what the Canny preprocessor does. Also, enable the Pixel Perfect option as it automatically adjusts your ControlNet's resolution. I'm using a realistic model to turn this game character into a realistic person. The generated image that you get is a mix of ControlNet and your prompts. Now let's try out a different control type. OpenPose is one of the more useful models. So what it does is basically detects the key points on a human body. It allows you to recreate human poses in your images. If you look at the preprocessors, you'll have 5 different options. Let's start off with OpenPose. It tries to detect all the major points in our input image. Now let's try to generate an image based on my reference image. I'm gonna paste my prompts and generate. If I also wanted to recreate the hand position from my reference image, I would use OpenPose Hands. It is a combination of hand detection and OpenPose. You can easily copy the exact hand and finger placement shown in your reference image. OpenPose Face includes the face and the body, whereas OpenPose Face only includes the face. These do well with portraits and close-ups. So the final one, OpenPose Full, it combines all the ones before it, the face, the body and the hands. As you can see, OpenPose also works with multiple people. Next we have Depth Preprocessor. It is good for positioning things, but it loses the finer details in the process. Depth has 4 different preprocessors right now with minor differences. The lighter shades represents close-up objects, whereas the darker shades are further away. Normal generates a normal map based on our input image. Normal map are images used to make flat surfaces appear textured. Overall, Normal Bay is better at both the foreground and the background. MLSD is a straight line detector, so it is useful for recreating buildings and interiors. All the curves and finer details are ignored. LineArt is a really useful tool to color your digital or hand drawings. There are multiple preprocessors for this with minor differences. For this generation, I'm using the LineArt Realistic preprocessor, and here is the generated image. And here's 2 more. Next, let's talk about Soft Edge. It is an edge detection algorithm like Canny, but overall the edges are softer, but it still helps you keep the fine details and get a generated image close to the reference. It is best to use when you don't want the outlines to be too strict. Scribble preprocessor turns your images into rough scribbles. HED and PDNet give you coarse outlines, whereas Xdog gives you fine outlines. Segmentation assigns a unique color to every identified object in an image. You can look up the color codes on this spreadsheet. Changing or adding colors with an editing app allows you to introduce new objects into the image. In this new image, I replaced the window with a painting and added a new person. Shuffle distorts and shuffles the colors of an input image. Shuffled image provides the starting point to generate our image. It is really useful for copying color schemes and themes. Here are more images with a different theme. P2P or Pix to Pix. It changes your images based on your instructions. There's no preprocessor for it, you only need to download the model. I don't really find it useful because the generated image quality is not that good. Next we have Reference. You'll notice that it does not need a model, only the preprocessor. The style fidelity slider doesn't do much, so I would leave it at default. Now let's talk about the preprocessors. Reference Only is good at creating minor variation of your reference image. I found Reference Only to be the best because it follows your prompts as well as your reference. The results of Aiden plus Attention are quite similar to Reference only. You can try out both to see which is better suited for your image. Reference Aiden ignores the colors and the details while keeping the overall composition. It is also heavily influenced by the prompt. Finally, we have Multi-Control Net. It allows you to use multiple control nets at once. To enable this, head over to Settings, Control Net, Multi-Control Net. I'm gonna select 2 and restart my UI. You can now access multiple control net tabs. For my first control net, I'm using OpenPose. If you already have a preprocessed image like I do here, you have to set the preprocessor to none. For my second control net, I'm using MLSD and I have a preprocessed image once again. We're gonna change one more option, that is control weight. It is basically how much control net affects the generated image. I'm gonna set this to 0.5 so it doesn't affect my subject too much. As you can see, the generated images are a mix of both control nets. Subscribe if you want to see more videos about Stable Diffusion.